Hi, I'm James Williams and welcome back to my channel. So I, like probably many of you, were delighted to see on Friday Paul Murana's weekend giveaway, where he's given away a free version of his Power Tools for Power Automate, which only one of the actions is available, but that action is the merge array action, which takes two arrays full of properties that share a common property. In this case it's name, so these two arrays share a common name property and each has different properties about the same person in this case. And his Power Automate tool, Power Tools for Power Automate, merges those two arrays into one based on that common property. And he did mention you've got to have crazy XPath skills if you want to do this without his extension. And I thought, well, I've got some XPath skills. I've just released a video on that not long ago, and I'm crazy enough to give it a go. So I wonder if I could come up with a flow that does do this. So that's what I'm going to try and do in this video. So in order to try this, I've asked Copilot here to come up with a fictional data set with 10 Star Wars characters, each with 7 properties. And I've put that all into a flow in this complete array compose object at the top. And then what I've done is I've taken 2 selects in order to pick, in each case, 4 of the columns, keeping the name column at the top of both selects. So in my output flow here, I've now got 2 sets of data with common properties, which are the name of the person, and then 3 different properties about that person in each array. And the idea is to try and join those up. So for Luke here, we'll have all 7 of his properties, including his name, in one object as an array. So here's Paul's connector and his action. So array 1's there, body of select 1. Array 2's there, body of select 2. And it's as easy in his action as telling the action what the common property is. So in this case, it was name. And then there's a merge mode option there. I've just kept that as intersection only. And when I run that, it did indeed in the 1 second in the output to come up with the amalgamated array. So there's Luke with his 7 properties and the same for everyone else. So for my version, in which I'm going to use XPath, I've prepared in a compose action here the XML, which I'm going to use. So to do that, I've created my root property, and then under that I've created an array property, which is going to have the union of both select 1 and select 2, both of those arrays, so merged into one. So it'll be one big array of every single object. So each person should have 2 entries in that array to begin with. And then I thought I'd go back to my previous XML XPath examples flow from a previous video and start with one of these XPath expressions. So here's a similar one where we grouped using the union as the input to get a unique list of order numbers. In this case, we had this expression where we took that order number and added that as the first property of an object, the order number. But to that we added all the line items as another product. As another property, in which case it was called line items here. So this returns an array of XPath nodes, and we did this complicated expression around it in order to reformat that back into a Power Automate object so that we could add it in native form into this object. So I'm going to take this as a starter. And I'm going to see if I can come up with an expression in the XPath here instead of this one to get all the properties that aren't the name property back, because I can add the name property using this item if I have my input to the select action of all the unique names in the input data arrays. I just need to add all the other properties, and obviously I can't add another name property, and I certainly can't add it twice because that won't be a valid object. So far I've repurposed that expression here. I've turned it around though, so that this time I'm creating the object from the XPath expression array of node sets that are returned to Power Automate. as the initial object, and I'm adding the name back to that with the add property expression here, the add property function. So I'm adding the name back in. That's the current item, and that's because the input to the select action I'm using is the union of all the name nodes from my merged array. I've put that in twice. I've run it through union, so that will give me an array of unique names throughout the data set. And then for each of those, I'm getting all the objects in that array where the name is the current name for the select action. And to that, I'm adding back the name itself as the final property. So that's just based on the group action previously slightly rewritten. So what that looks like when it comes out is this. So I am getting an array, and for each person, I'm getting their name added as a property. But at the moment, it's coming back with the other property being called array. And all it's doing so far is bringing me back the two entries in that merged array that relate to that same person. So what I want to do is not have this array object at all. I want these three properties here and these three properties here, without listing them specifically, to be part of this top level object. So I'm here in Visual Studio where I'm going to test out my XPath expressions. And if you want to know how to do this, go and watch my previous video on XPath. So I've taken that XML output from my flow and put it into this file, arraymerge.xml. This is my XPath expression, which currently matches what I've got in the flow. So if I run this, I can see that it's returning those array objects, and each one is the item from the initial select 1 and select 2 actions. What I want to do is get all these properties except for name, because I've already got that in my select action output. So how am I to do that? Well, I can go into each array here and find all the first level properties with another / and a star. So this will get me all nodes under that array node. So if I run that, see what that looks like, you can see here that it's brought back all those properties now. So I've got rid of that top level array object, but the problem is I've still got two items, two properties here for name, and I want to get rid of those. So I can do that with more XPath. In this case, if I say the name and open and close brackets, this is saying the name of the particular node I'm looking at, not that word name before. If I say that's not equal to name, then this should, in theory, if I run this, give me all the nodes that didn't have the property name, which is right. So these are the 6 other properties I want to bring back into Power Automate for each unique name. So let's do that now. So here I am in Power Automate. If I paste that additional part of the expression on, I just must remember here to add back in the double quotes to make sure that those quotes are escaped so they don't terminate the XPath expression. So that now gives me all those properties. So if I update this and save, and when that's saved, I can go back to my previous run where I had that array object, and I can resubmit this and see what happens. Let's have a look at the output. So that's it. So name's at the end, so it's not quite the same as Paul's, but the other 6 properties are all there, and there's only one item in the array for each person. So there should be 10 in total, which is what I asked Copilot for, and that's it. So we've managed to recreate the effect of Paul's action. The benefit of this is it's not using a premium license, because there's no custom connect to use, which means we don't need to pay for that Power Automate premium license to use a custom connector, but it was a lot more complicated to set up. So yeah, it's a lot more complicated than Paul's very easy to use action. So that's it. We've demonstrated that it can be done with this select action, where we're taking the unique names and we're using this complicated Power Automate and XPath expression in order to merge those two arrays. So this is the lengths you sometimes have to go to if you want to avoid paying for a premium connector. But you know, if you've got time to do that, then great. But if you want to get the job done quickly, then you can pay that bit of extra money for a tool to make life a lot easier. But if you enjoyed this video and you haven't watched my previous videos on XPath, please do go back and watch those. I hope you found this interesting, and if you did, please drop a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And all that leaves for me to say is thank you for watching, and see you later, Automator.